Welcome to the Vincere Project, an H-hour production where we help people become more skilled, more competent, and more brave when they're facing the most difficult circumstances of their life. I hope you enjoy our podcast. Man, episode 1 of the Vincere Project. This is, it's a huge deal, a huge moment, right? I've kind of queried and asked a few people like, hey, what are your thoughts? Would you even listen? And the feedback I got was good. It was overwhelming, supportive, or encouraging at a minimum. And then, getting everybody aligned in sequence to make it work. That was the next step of it. And my mom promised to listen. So I think it's super important. But the big picture for me is why the Vincere Project? What's the commitment? How did we get here? What does it mean that it's an H-hour production? And what's the nexus for H-hour for folks that aren't familiar? I think that's my responsibility to share that stuff. What we're doing is essentially finding a platform for us to be able to share our best practices and best ideas and keep enhancing our product. H-hour was formed in August of 2019, and here we are in 2026. And now we're at a point where we've done some things, we've accomplished some things, we've survived the first few years of business ownership. H-hour counseling is up and running, and we're doing great work over there. And H-hour training events is serving a different function and role. And I have the good privilege of partnering with amazing people to do those things. So as an extension of H-hour, we're going to stick to the mission. We're going to do our best to help people become a little bit more skilled, a little bit more competent, and hopefully a little more brave in the things that they encounter. The podcast in of itself is just insight to what we do. But again, if somebody can take some sort of motivation or inspiration or an action step that's going to help them get through a difficult situation or make that phone call or change that behavior, I'm supportive for all that stuff, whether it benefits me directly or not. I think that's how we improve our community, our society, our nation, our families, as we stay the course and keep pushing things forward. But I think that comes with a context, right? So I'll do my best to serve everybody that takes a listen, right? And is generous with their time and attention. The nexus of what we do, right? The nuts and bolts, the counseling, leadership work, it all stems from a lot of healing and growth. And so for Mary and I, when we first started on this journey, we had those conversations about, hey, how do we spend more time together? How do we figure out different ways to serve a wider range of people? And who can we do that? And it was like, hey, let's just start a business. Let's start a business. I don't know what it's going to be or what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, but I just want to spend time with my wife, right? And the funny thing is, the first thing we ever did is we started doing these beach workouts, and C-Cup showed up, and he was the first person to do the workout with us. They're long. They were just her and I for 2-3 hours, like doing beat down workouts. And he was the one that was like, man, this is pretty cool. I think you should do something with this. We didn't explicitly do that, right? But it is the backbone of how we kind of evolved, right? And so the counseling part is what I do. I'm a licensed professional counselor with my partner, Brooke, who's a licensed clinical social worker. And we have a small team, and we've had different people in and out of our counseling practice. And we're continuing to expand and grow rapidly on that end at this point with 3 locations scattered throughout New Jersey. And with the way the laws and the rules are now, we serve clients, beyond New Jersey as well. There's reciprocity, insurance, and a couple of things that need to line up to do that. So the world is better than it's ever been for the counseling side of the business. The training event side is really probably the first way we got paid to do anything. And that was with Amazon for an event. And I think from that point, we learned a few things. We have no idea what we're doing, but we have high energy. We're willing to put in a lot of effort and work, and we are learning machines, right? And so H-hour in and of itself is a learning institute, right? It's this place where we harness ideas and concepts, difficult things, and we do our best to sort through them. Much of these podcasts will be different topics that people can find difficult at times. And I would say that I do as well. And I hold a lot of conflicting ideas. And not only my natural personality, but also my worldview can be pretty polarizing, if not adversarial at times, or competitive for that matter. And I think we'll do our best to sort through things like money, politics, religion, family situations, career changes, right? What the veteran transformation looks like. In that space, we'll have difficult and meaningful conversations. Along the way, we'll have a few guests. I don't know how I'm going to do that and what that looks like, because sometimes it's just, when you have like super busy people that are incredibly competent, it's just hard to get their time and attention and get them on the schedule. So those would be like special editions or episodes, because I do know some remarkable and world-class people. And I think the world just needs to hear what they're sharing, because I eat that stuff up. I hang on the words that they share, the things that they're reading, what they're working on. I chew on it. I give them feedback and spit back. I hire counselors and coaches And I'm in the market for a shaman, but I think I'm gonna find one because of this right here. We'll take a look at some of the crises that come up in a lifespan. I will do my best to disclose and be authentic with what my story has been at different times, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's drugs and alcohol, behavioral issues, criminality, and overcoming many of those things. We'll talk about war, sports, academia, education, business, investing, and to just name a few things, some of the things that I find interesting. And I think I've started to form a worldview, either experiential or educationally or vicariously through other people, right? There's cautionary tales. As much as we have role models, we have many failure models in this lifetime, if we're honest with ourselves. And big picture for me is it's going to be a behavior modification experiment. There has to be consequence to modify behavior. And what I would tell you in my 10,000 plus hours of clinical experience is if there's no consequence that is meaningful in terms of somebody's worldview, it's going to be very difficult for that person to modify that behavior, whether it is managing mental health and or behavioral health, right? And behavioral health would look like things like addiction, gambling, drugs, alcohol, shopping, sex, things of that nature. For me, and something I'm very comfortable sharing with the world is this show will be my platform to modify my language. And a lot of times I've struggled in the past with profanity, F-bombs, D's, C's, and P's referring to genitalia, and then referring to other people in that context, right? And a lot of times it takes away from the message that I might be trying to share or what I'm trying to articulate or give to other people. And I think that the best way for me to do that is to demonstrate and role model not only for my family, my friends, my team, my greater community, any future clients that take a dose on the Vincere Project, but really for my children, and so that they have a sample of my voice, of my face, and they don't have to ask that question, what did dad sound like or look like when he was around this age, right? With this day and age, having a digital footprint, and having artifacts that are circulated around and harvested and harnessed and shared with the world, there's high risk in that, but the reward at this point is much greater. And I think for me, that is how I'm looking at this, is because let's say I never meet somebody, but they listen to one episode about a relevant topic, and I offer a tactic or strategy they might find useful in their personal or professional life, then I think that I am satisfying the goals and intentions of the Vincere Project. For me, overarching the big picture, I'm not very fearful with any of this, nor am I greedy, but that behavior modification thing and that consequence will be significant in meaning this. So if I use some sort of profanity, right, somebody can DM me, text me, email me at Vince at the H Hour, or they can find me on the InstaFace or one of those platforms. And if whoever points it out first, like, hey, dude, dropped an F-bomb about that person, place, or thing or whatever. Hey, used the P-bomb referring to somebody in the past that you were in the military with or played sports or modern day or whatever. The point is it can be accurate and precise about that particular person or that place or that thing. But for me, it's unbecoming at this point. And I want to demonstrate for my children that behavior modification and that change. How do we do that? So the consequence for me would be a $225 donation to whatever charity or organization that person that pointed it out picks or selects. So for example, if I drop an F-bomb or say, hey, this person was an F and P, right? And then Uncle Jack emails me. He's like, "Oh, Vince, you dropped an F-bomb on there." Well, $225 per word is $450. And at $225 is an arbitrary random. That is what we bill for in HR counseling. Right. And then the flip side of all that is that I will feel that. I'll be much more mindful because then I'm going to tell Mary to cut a check to whatever organization we need to make a donation to. And then the best part of all of it in the storyline is that people see in real time that people struggle with things, people make mistakes. And, when we look at stages of change, people go through the stages of change. They're not a fixed, like stagnant target. And they require a lot of time and attention to modify and change those particular things. But I'm going to give you through the lens and the filter of my experiences, again, as a student athlete, playing collegiate sports briefly, playing high-level high school sports, travel sports, working in business, serving in the military, right, where I had the opportunity to work with world-class people in many different quarters, significantly brighter than I could ever be, much more talented and uniquely qualified to do the things we were doing. And for me, though, I was the beneficiary of just being in the presence of those remarkable Americans. I think that's kind of where we're going to go and leave off for today. I don't want to keep rambling because that's going to happen on some of the episodes, but we're going to do our best to stay under 30 minutes per episode. Some will balloon up, some will be shorter, some will be closer to 10 minutes, much like this one. But this is the introduction. This is the Vincere Project. And I just think, man, that graphic of the Vincere Project, that's my dog right there, Molly Pitchfork. And you'll see the background. That's going to change over time because it's evolving. This is a living, breathing, working thing. And Aunt Jamie is essentially swiping my credit card to upgrade all the stuff. So we have fancy lights now. We got things to plug into things. We got brackets. We got a new computer, new screens, the speaker thing. We got some lights back here doing whatever they're doing. And before you know it, that whole backdrop behind me, I don't know, will start to turn into and look like a soundproof studio if we do this thing correctly. But here's the best part in all of it is I'm selfish enough to share with all of you is this. Anytime I use profanity, I have to make a donation, but also anytime I plug HR counseling or HR training events, I'm going to send them an invoice and bill them for me promoting their company. And that's kind of fun for me. So cheers. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Looking forward to it. Hope you can stay with me the whole way. My goal is to do one a week for 52 weeks and then reevaluate and assess like, hey, is this serving any value? Am I enjoying it? Am I good at it? And were any of my guests awesome in sharing their time and attention and telling their story? Cool. Out here. Enjoy.